Okay. Good evening and welcome. Hello, Dean. Great, you can make it.
Hi,
How
how
are
are
you?
you?
Good, good. All righty. So this evening we're going to go through the cluster 3, which is yep, a big cluster, but not as big as cluster 2. So it's a lot easier for some, right? For some. So we're going to go through um, and go through the PowerPoint slide. So here we go. Okay, so I'm Joe Nowakowski. So for those that have been with me for the last 2 weeks, thank you for coming back again. So we're going to go through the cluster 3. So as you can see with the qualifications, there's a lot to still update, which HBA is in the process of developing the diploma of TAE. So yep, a lot more work for us trainers out there that have to update our diplomas. So you can see the changes are going to come through thick and fast, I'm sure. So, welcome. So, we're going to go through the unit of competencies within the cluster 3. We're going to go through the structure and the flow of the requirements that need to be completed, the evidence requirements, the task overview, some support channels, and we're going to have a quick Q&A session. So the first unit of competency within our assessment cluster is TAE ASS413, which is participate in assessment validation, a core unit of competency. TAE ASS412, assess competence, another core unit of competency. TAE PDD 401, work effectively in the vet sector. So that's another core unit. So 3 core units in the assessment in cluster 3. The first unit we're going to go through is TAE 413, participate in assessment validation. Has anyone heard of validation before? Yep. Yep, some. Okay, so you're going to be a star of validation by the end of cluster 3 because there's quite a few validations, pre-validation and post-validation. So it's going to be exciting. So the first performance criteria, performance evidence here is participate in pre-assessment validation of at least 3 assessment tools before they are used with candidates. With our cluster 3, we have already prepared the assessment tools that you're going to pre-validate. Does that make sense? So the assessment tools are ready to go. So what you're going to do is go through and do pre-validation of 3 assessment tools. 2, participate in the validation of the above 3 assessment tools after they have been used to assess candidates. Do we understand that? Yeah. 3, assessment judgments by different assessors where the same tool has been used for all 3 judgments. So again, HBA has already got some assessment tools that have been assessed by 3 assessors. What your task will be doing is to go through the assessment results and see where or if there's any improvements that need to be noted. The practices undertaken in the course of the above assessment judgments and identify of at least 2 recommendations for improvement. In the course of the above activities, the individual must use mapping documentation to evaluate whether the assessment tools cover all aspects of the 3 nationally recognized units of competencies and their assessment requirements. Review sample evidence collected of at least 1 full unit of competency. Use effective oral and written communication skills when discussing and collaborating with colleagues. Do we understand what that means? Yeah, no questions so far? Well, good. Okay, TAE ASS 412, assess competence. Number 1, conduct a total of at least six assessments, at least one of which must use recognition of prior learning. Do we understand RPL? No
Yes.
questions yet?
Yep.
Okay, this is good. Okay, the above assessments must be for 3 different candidates against all requirements specified in at least 2 different units of competencies from nationally recognized training package or accredited course. The same 2 units may be used for each candidate. Too many words, isn't it? It gets confusing. Yeah, so what is it trying to say? So conduct a total of 6 assessments, right? So you're going to assess 6 different assessment tools. At least one must use recognition of prior learning. When we go through the task, you're going to see that there are 2 RPL assessment tools that you're going to conduct, and one of which will both of the assessment tools will be for Bill McGuinness. So in your resources, you're going to find the 2 assessment tools ready to go, along with the evidence provided that has been given to you by the candidate. So the candidate is Mr. Bill McGuinness. Mr. Bill McGuinness is applying for RPL for TAE40122 311 and also BSB CMM 411. Now, Mr. Bill McGuinness has submitted some evidence for you. And so what you're going to do is go through the evidence and conduct the RPL assessment, whether he is going to be granted RPL or not granted, and give feedback. Does that make sense? So that's the RPL part. That's 2 assessment tools, right? So that's 2. We've got 4 more to go. So where these 4 assessment tools are going to come from is person A is going to be given 2 assessment tools with different units, yeah? Person B will be given the same assessments as person A. So how many people do we need? 2, right? 2 people. And this must be videoed. The reason why it needs to be videoed is so we can assess how you are delivering your conducting your assessment, going through the briefing, and being supportive when your learner is needing some support to clarify their requirements. You have a question, sorry? Yes?
Sorry, about this part, do I need to, as an assessor, do I need to, for example, just give them the feedback if they satisfactory in the maybe in the practical part or in the question part, written question part, or also if they want to fill out the form, give them some guide to fill out the form, and also give the actual and recent and sorry, the actual outcome. Is it true or no? I just need to give them the maybe feedback about being satisfactory or not satisfactory in each part, or being competent or not competent at all.
Okay, so what you are needing to do is what we need to see on the video is you giving them the briefing of what is expected and what is the expectation of the assessment. We're needing to see that you are there to support the learners throughout the assessment process. So if I was going to conduct the assessment today, I would say, okay, I have person A, person B. This is what the first assessment is all about, blah, 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 blah. This is what's expected for the written. This is what's expected for the practical. And then I would just video the whole process of them completing it. At the end of them completing the task, I would say thank you, and I would ask them to send me their submission, and then I would conduct the next assessment. Remember, there's 4 assessment tools that we need to complete, 2 each for person A, person B. So there's 2 assessment tools ready for use. One is BSB DAT201. Is that right? Sorry. And the other one is BSB TEC 301.
So I don't know if am I correct, yeah or no. Please just correct if I'm not. So I need to give them the forms and
Yes.
try to explain in the video what is the assessment process and
Yep.
what we need in the written question part, what we need to cover in the
Practical.
practical part,
Yes.
and that's all done.
Yes, and then collect it. And then what you're going to do after they have submitted both of those assessment tools, you are going to assess it following the assessor guide. Yeah,
So,
because
so
you have the
I
assessor
don't need
guide.
to give the feedbacks in the record. It's not needed.
You don't have to, because
Oh,
what we are needing to see is documented evidence that you can assess. So we need to see that you are marking for each question and you are giving feedback at the end of each assessment instrument. And
uh,
again, in the overall feedback as well.
sorry. Learner should tick and mark the
No, the
part.
learners are not. That's you, the assessor.
So learners sit on a maybe table, and
Yep,
I
with a
go through
laptop.
their laptop and tick
Yes.
the and give them the feedback. Just that.
Okay. Person A, person B is sitting in front of me doing the assessment.
Yeah.
I've run through the first task and the second task, and now they have left my house. I am going to go through and do the assessment. I'm
So
going
I
to go
need
through and do the results.
so I need both of person A and B in the video record also.
Yeah.
Ah,
Whether you do it at the same time or whether you do it individually, it's up to you. But you do
oh,
need to assess two different people
yeah.
over those two assessment tools.
Because last week I have a meeting. I met there was a gentleman, one of the trainer. His name was Dean,
Yeah.
and I asked him about yeah. He was a very nice gentleman, and I asked him about this part, and he said you need two persons, person A and
Yes.
B,
Yes.
and you should record, put the your mobile phone, mobile or the
Yeah.
recorder at the
Yes.
backward, and
Yeah.
you should have two people and
That we
assess
can
them.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, assess them during and do the process between 15 to 20 minutes, just that.
Yes. Yes. It does not take too long. If you read
Mm.
through the assessment tool, you'll see it's level 2. Go, and they're needing to collect data is one unit, and the other one is using the internet for research.
And another question is,
Yes.
do I need to the questions? I mean the assessment, the assignment. Do I need to also have this on my laptop or my I don't know, in my uh, laptop or computer? Do I need to show also the assessment or just the
No,
process?
not in the video, not in the video. We just
Uh-huh,
need to see the process, and we need to see the body language between yourself and the student. That's all.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
this is the last question. There was because I totally I've already finished the cluster 3, and just this part remain because I have some questions. And
Yes.
the other there was 2 units of competency. For
Yes.
record 1, can I do the same unit of competency for both person? And then the other unit of competency also the same for another records. For example, unit of competency A and A for person A and B, and then unit of competency B for person A and B.
That's right. That's
Ah,
right. Yes.
okay.
Because that makes up our 6, right? We have
Yeah.
2 for RPL and
Yeah.
2 for person A, 2 for person B. Yeah. We're all good with
And
that?
and the last question, I promise that would be the last question. Uh,
Okay.
is it possible to that those two persons A and B in both record would be competent, or no? There was
It's very good if they are not competent, but it's good if it's competent. It makes it easier for you if they're competent. But if they have a question that's incorrect, that's okay. They do not need to redo it again. What we need to see is how you're going to deliver that feedback. So you're
yeah,
going to,
because if they are not, if they won't be competent, I need to also put an action plan. Yeah. Am I?
yeah, yes,
Ah,
correct.
Yeah.
So then they know how they can rectify that. There's
thank you.
another question somewhere. Sorry, I don't have your name there.
Yes. Is somebody's got their hand up, please?
Hi, it's me, Alia. I have
Hello?
this. Hi,
Yep.
I have a question regarding the same, the one the lady was asking. So
Yes.
the video recording. I called the HBA, and one of the assessors told me that you can get the candidate to do the assessment in advance and then record giving them.
No. We need to see. Are you there? Sorry, it sounds like it's dropped out.
That learner's on mute, Joe. So if
Oh,
you can
okay.
unmute, terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the assessor told me that you can send the assessment beforehand and then read the candidate instruction and appeal and everything like that, get them to sign. And then in the meantime, when they will be doing the assessment, you can just jump directly to the feedback of the assessment. Like it's she told me that instead of waiting for them to get it done, because it might take 10-15 minutes for them to do it in actual.
Well, what we are needing to see is we're needing to see if you are able to be the assessor that is able to answer any questions whilst they are while they are under, while they're going through the assessment process. And so if I was your person A and you're assessing me, okay, and Neil or Dina is your assessor, right? So if you're assessing me and I have difficulty understanding what the acronym WHS means, and I ask you that question, Dean or Neil are hoping that you're going to be clarifying the response to me being your learner. So that's the important thing. So it's very important when you are going through an assessment process, when you're conducting assessment, is that you can support the learner and clarify any needs that they have throughout the assessment process.
So we will be waiting for them to complete, like even if it's take more than 20 minutes.
Yes,
30 minutes.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, because we
and
need to see that you are supporting your learner. Yes.
Okay, and she also told me that you can have both of the assessor, both of the candidate together, like both of the learner can do the assessment at the same
Yes,
time.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Alrighty, that's not good. Thank you so much.
All good.
So, Joe, are these the things you're going through now? The PowerPoint, is that on in our, because I'm doing cluster 1 this week, is that in our package, or are these just yours that you go through tonight in the session?
This is just what I go through in the session. Yep. However, you can watch the session again if you need to.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right. All good.
Hey, Dean.
Melissa, you're doing cluster 3 with us in a blended program, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You'll find that cluster 3, if you keep pace, you should have every one of those practical activities done during week 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We'll absolutely lead you through every part of this and instructions before we do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so number 1, we understand where these 6 assessments are coming from, and we can see where we're going to be conducting these assessments, right? Okay, next. In the course of the above assessments, the individual must use current and validated assessment tools. Do you recall in the previous unit, it says we have to pre-validate? Yeah, so that's how we're going to be doing and using validated assessment tools, because we're pre-validating the assessment tools. Customize the assessment process of at least one of the above candidates to contextualize for candidates' work role and environment, make reasonable adjustment for special needs where this will not compromise the requirements of the unit of competency, or explain and justify a reasonable adjustment that could be made in at least one of the above assessments. Make assessment judgments according to vocational education and training regulatory requirements. And identify and apply at least 3 changes to improve own assessment practices based on feedback from the candidate and self-reflection. So again, that word feedback, it keeps coming back, huh? You're going to collate feedback in every cluster. So collating feedback. So after we have assessed our learners, we are needing to ask them for feedback. Yeah. And so we're going to collate that feedback, and there we can identify where we can improve our practice for next time. Yes, Kerry.
Hi, how are you?
Good, Kerry.
Just with that feedback, so is this something that we could create a feedback form to hand to them whilst you're doing, like, you know, part of that package of doing the, you know, assessments and presentations and all that, give them a feedback form at the end of doing that for them to complete? Is that what you kind of like?
Yeah. Absolutely. Magic happens, right? HBA is magical like this. There's already a feedback for the candidates ready in your file.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
thank you.
Magic, right? It happens.
I like magic like that.
Yeah, I like it too. If it can be done, all good. So HBA has already got your feedback ready to go. Were there any questions before we move on to the last unit of competency in this assess cluster? All good? Okay. The last unit of competency is TAE40122, work effectively in the vet sector. So with this one, we are needing to develop a plan for own development, including identifying and applying the regulatory requirements of a vocational education and training teacher, trainer, and assessor. Does anyone know what that is, by the way? The regulatory requirements of a vocational education and training teacher, trainer, and assessor.
Do you mean
so would that be
development? Maybe?
Sorry, I don't know who was answering first. Can you try again? Sorry.
I mean, did you mean the self-development?
Yeah, I was just asking, what is the regulatory requirements of a vocational education and training teacher or trainer and assessor? Melissa?
That you're qualified to teach?
Yep. So what's the requirement for you to be able to teach?
Well, you have to have recognised training.
Yeah.
And you need to have completed that and have your certificate of completion. And you need to also not be teaching anything that's above on your qualification framework than what you've actually completed yourself.
Absolutely, smashing it. Yeah. So we need to be qualified with a Cert 4 TAE. And again, when you do your research regarding this, you're going to see there's 2 different qualification that is listed as a regulatory requirement for a trainer. Yeah. We also have to be qualified in what we train, just like what you were saying, Melissa, which is correct. And we have to maintain currency in that, don't we? Yeah. So evaluating vocational competency and industry currency and current skills and knowledge related to the delivery of vocational training, including digital skills. Kerry.
So I've got to do this clicking and unclicking. So when you say currency, say, for instance, I do finance. So I did my finance qualifications like 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But I had worked in the sector for a long time. So, and then I've been out of it for a while. When you say currency, could I still train in those, or do I have to do something to update those skills?
So you may have to do some upgrading. I'm not sure about that industry. Neil, any ideas with?
So sometimes those superseded qualifications have been deemed equivalent to newer ones. And the RTO, if you went to start working for an RTO, they'd look at what your potential is around updating those qualifications, plus also your professional experience that sits behind it. And they'd look at potentially in our circumstance, we look at trying to put all that together and trying to RPL you to the most current version of that qualification. And any areas that we're still a little bit behind, we'd just get you to complete the activities that sit behind it, the actual like a gap training activities.
Okay.
And between those combination of things, you'd get yourself up to speed. But we generally also, when you started an RTO, you'd have to fill out what we call a skills matrix. And that skills matrix ties in your qualifications and your currency, the things where you've been actually applying that in industry. And just as a hint behind it all sits in the standards for RTOs, and the clauses are 1.13 and 1.16. That's nerding it up, isn't it? 1.13 and 1.16 in the standards.
That is really
Sorry,
nerdy.
is it also the same
Thank you.
for maybe a bachelor having an academic degree?
Higher level qualifications are a little bit of a challenge because every university does things slightly different to the next university, and none of them have a sort of the same situation as us where all of our benchmarks or standards are across the industry. So yes, sometimes you can RPL backwards and use some of those higher level qualifications. So we're talking about AQF 6 and AQF 7 and so on, down to those other qualifications. But sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge. If you've got the vocational experience that sits behind it as well, that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Terrific. Haney, you have a question.
Yeah, thanks. I'm a university qualified degree in engineering. How can I map that to vet qualification?
Hanny, what you would do is go and look at the qualification that you want in the vet level. So remember, all of that stuff is at training.gov.au. Look up the qualification you have, and all of the units are sitting there, and the benchmarks are published. So it's then up to you to go and find some evidence, and evidence always has to fit the criteria of being valid, authentic, current, and sufficient. And that makes it evidence in that vet world. And you just need to tie in so you've got sufficient evidence to cover all aspects of those units of competency where you're looking for RPL, and Bob's your uncle.
So in other words, I can go and get the actual courses available in training.gov.
Yeah,
and
so
try.
yeah, absolutely. Even so, the RTO standard said we have to have a qualification at least equivalent to the one that we're training in.
Right.
But generally, if you go and work for an RTO, they're not just going to want you to hold the qualification. They're going to want you to hold the individual units of competency that you're training in for their compliance. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword. You've got to do both.
Right. So if I pick whatever course is available that matches my qualification, that would be it.
That's it. And then you go and find the criteria for those units of competency that sit within that qualification and look at what evidence you have. And as I said, valid, authentic, current, and sufficient, and it can be used as evidence.
And how can I provide evidence for that?
Oh, it varies wildly from case to case. Your tertiary qualification would form a basis for it, but all of the jobs that you're doing in the engineering world, your position descriptions, your resumes, the actual work that you've done. If you've designed things, then sometimes the design of those things will meet the criteria. It varies from unit to unit.
Yeah.
So as an evidence, I can actually include my copy of the qualification, a resume, experience in the area of my expertise and the like.
But if they say you need to design a bridge, then you need to present a design for a bridge that you've made. for example.
Okay, and I can include that in the documents.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you
Yeah.
can. If it's valid, authentic, current, and it covers the breadth of the unit of competency sufficiently, absolutely you can.
And I append the drawings and
Yeah.
something
It
like that.
depends on the units, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's
Hey,
gonna be a
Haney.
big attachment.
Terrific. Haney, I've just placed in the chat the website where you can actually find those qualifications. You can do keyword searches within training.gov.au. It's a magnificent website. You probably already are aware of it, but also I've just placed there that you might want to look for something similar in terms of the higher education qualifications that you hold. Do some keyword searches within the training.gov.au and see what comes up. See what comes up. And from there, as exactly what Neil was saying, have a look at the actual units of competency or the qualification in total. Have a look at the units of competency. And the way that you can actually do that is by just having a look at each of the unit performance criteria, the performance evidence itself, and see whether or not that's actually similar or matches very close to the qualification that you hold at higher education, so university qualification that you hold. That'd be the first step, as Neil was mentioning. And then from there, consider, certainly when you do approach an RTO, and I'm sure that you'd be a very valuable resource, but the RTO will also assist you in terms of whether or not the qualification that you do hold would be aligned with or very similar to a qualification in the vet sector. So they will assist you. But I think, as Neil said, the first point of call is certainly get into that training.gov.au. It's a wealth of resource. Absolutely, Haney.
And
Yeah,
you'll find
I
that
found
your training package, most of your background will fit into the MEM training package, manufacturing and engineering.
yeah,
And I've dropped a link in there for you to have a look through for that.
I found heaps, and I was actually I didn't know which one to pick up. Thanks for that.
Good. Okay, so evaluating what did we say? Evaluating vocational competency and industry currency and current skills and knowledge related to the industry of vocational training, including digital skills. Identifying opportunities for professional development to improve professional practice and knowledge. Has anyone gone to a PD session before? Have you heard of PD sessions? It's a professional development session.
I just heard that. I just heard it. And I know what it is.
Yeah. So HBA, yeah, sorry, Melissa.
Yeah, if we had to, for where in the industry we used to work, we had to do so many hours a year.
Yeah. And so, the professional development, it does assist in maintaining our currency or understanding, what's happening in our industries at that moment. Yeah. So if we
to be up to date also.
keeps you up to date.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if there's a new machine out there, that's used in our industry, then we need to go and learn about this new machine, right? And so we're going to be up to date with the latest technology because it's a new machine. Yeah, that sort of thing. So identifying opportunities for professional development to improve professional practice and knowledge. We understand that? Yeah. All right. So what is in our cluster 3? Does anyone, when did the version 1.1 come out, Dean? Was it September? Neil, sorry.
It was. It was in September last year, yes.
If is anyone here that enrolled prior to September last year?
I think everyone should pretty much will have enrolled since, but Hanny's got version 1.1. We've sorted that out for him.
Version 1.1. I'm just going to go straight through to version 1.1
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
But
Otherwise, it's
sorry,
confusing.
I'm working on version 1 as we speak. Is that a problem?
Yeah, but you've actually been given version 1.1, and there are a couple of changes in there. The stuff you're doing about RPL around Bill is version 1.1. So even though you say you're using version 1.0, we've given you the version 1.1, and even if you've started on V1.0, from where you are now, just work forwards on the V1.1, Hanny. It'll make your life a whole lot easier.
All right. Okay.
All right. In cluster 3, our knowledge question workbook. Yep. That's the fun stuff. It's question after question after question until you reach the end, right? I feel your pain.
Hard to find the spot of the answers. So hard. I don't know why. You should just read, and most of the time I cannot find the exact spot of the answers. And this is the last part that I'm going to do it. And I've already finished the section 1, but it was so hard, so hard.
Well done. Section 1 is done, so that's good.
Yeah. I also finished cluster 1, 2, and 3. And in the last meeting, I realized that we have also the
knowledge
answers
questions.
on questions. Yeah,
yes.
I realized that. And that was
but it helps
that was
to
a nightmare.
ground. Yeah, it grounds the information in your mind so you understand the vet sector inside and out by the end of it. So in regards to our cluster 3, we have task 3.1, which is pre-use assessment tool validation. Participate in validation of 3 assessment tools prior to use. Yeah. And then next we have task 3.2, assess competence, RPL. So we understand where this RPL comes from, those 2 units based for Mr. Bill McGuinness. Yeah, TAE40122 311 and BSB CMM 411. We also have task 3.3, assess competence. Conduct assessment for 2 candidates. Each candidate must be assessed in 2 full units of competencies each. Address foundation skills. Do we understand that? Yep, that's person A, person B, right? Task 3.4, post-assessment validation. Participate in validation of 3 assessment tools after they have been used to assess candidates. Do we understand where we're getting these from? Yep. We can choose the 2 units that we use to assess competence, and also we can use the RPL, one of the RPLs. Task 3.5. Task 3.5, assessment decision validation. Moderate the assessment decisions made by 3 assessors using the same tool. Yeah, so we have 3 assessments that have been conducted by 3 different assessors. It's the same unit of competency, right? And so you'll go through and have a look at the assessments that have already been assessed, and we're going through a moderation document to see where there needs to be some improvements made. Task 3.6 is our professional development plan. So develop a PD plan to improve professional practice and knowledge. So that's when you go through and understand, okay, so what is it that I can do as professional development to maintain my current knowledge and skills in the industry I provide? Yeah? So far, so good. Yes, you have a question, Kerry?
Oh, Hanny had his hand up first, but just quickly on that professional development plan, how big, small does that have to be?
Well, we don't want war and peace, but we do want to see that it's all relevant to the industry that you're going to be facilitating within. So again, reading through the plan, I think is there 3 lines? I think, is that right, Neil, from memory? You can extend on it if you wish.
I don't think there's a hard and fast sort of number, but there is, there's a couple of different sides to it. We firstly ask you to list your current vocational skills, so the area of your subject matter expertise that you're going to train in, and also your vet knowledge and skills, because there's always those two strands that we've got to consider as trainers. So we look at what your current ones are, and then you have to go and do some research on opportunities, things you might look at doing for your PD on both of those aspects. And then finally, now, and generally, if you're working for an RTO, it should not just align with what you're choosing to do for your own development, but usually it's a conversation with yourself and your training manager or the compliance manager or all three, and then sitting down and firming up which sort of path you want to take, but also which direction sort of helps the RTO as well. That's in a best practice world. So there's no hard and fast number.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No worries.
Heidi, you have a question.
Yeah, thanks. I don't understand task 3.5. What do you have to do there? Is it built up from 3.4?
Okay, so 3.5, we have resources. Remember this? So we have cluster 3 that we're working through. So in the assessment tools for use, this is where you're going to find the assessment tools that you're going to be assessing your person A, person B, okay? In your task 3.2, this is the RPL for Mr. Bill McGuinness. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then 3.5, this is where it's all at. So we have candidate 1, candidate 2, candidate 3. So Martin, Chris, and Fiona. So once we go through their assessments, they'll have their assessment tool as well as their feedback form in each of their folders. What we would be doing when we're going through moderation is reading through the feedback to see where things were fitting for the candidate. We're also going to go through the assessment to see whereabouts the assessor was making their judgment call. From there, we're going to go through and complete a moderation document. And those questions on that moderation document is very similar to validation, but what we're really looking for is where we can make those improvements. And we need to mark it down on that, on the moderation form. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It's more than what's in 1.0.
No, it's just done differently. We ask you to do it yourself in the 1.0 files. In 1.1, we've provided the tools. So we reworked it to actually make it a little bit easier, Hanny.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have those ones there.
Thanks.
No problem. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So I did flip through one of these slides. So if you have not, oh yeah, we've already done that. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's where all of our documents are for cluster 3. We've all seen those documents before. Or we're excited to go on to cluster 3. Fully motivated, yep. Denise cannot wait for cluster 3. She's excited. But you can see that all of the documents are there waiting for you to open and get into, yeah? Kerry, how are you going? All good?
I'm going so fabulous. She just asked Dean. Full of questions, full of confusion.
Oh, well done.
Goal
You'll be
achieved.
a whiz. Yes.
Yeah, you know, that 6 weeks time frame, it's now going a little bit further into the ether.
Yeah. We always plan. Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah, I can do this. Yep.
Yeah, knock it over. It'd be easy peasy. No.
Yeah. No, there's quite a lot in it, huh? And our knowledge workbook is always waiting for us.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, and our lovely reading folder has a lot of documents. Has anyone read through the reading folder, or you're just doing a lot of Googling? You are
I read some of them, but not all of them. Just uh, shortly, just read them.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
good. They're good resources. I've read through a few. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're quite handy, aren't they?
Mm.
It's just a matter of remembering what's in each one because there's so many crossovers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And we've been through the learner guide quite a few times, I'm sure. Yes. Did anyone print it out, by the way? You're a
Of course I did.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work to print it out. This is search to find the spot of the answers.
So much, yeah. And so we understand where your support channels are, right?
Yeah.
Are you using the learner forums at all?
No. Is that compulsory to use it?
No, it's not compulsory. No.
Thanks God.
Yeah.
But you probably will find, though, if you get really stuck on a question, go and log into the forums. I've dropped the link into the chat. Quite often, our previous, like if you're stuck on a question, we'll have had other learners that have been stuck on that question as well. So we get asked those and we try and answer them in a fair bit of detail so that you can see there. And there can be, you get stuck on a question, I'd be using those forums because it's not mandatory, but they're absolutely beneficial.
Yeah.
If somebody answers all of the questions there, I really appreciate that.
You won't find an answer, but you'll find guidance on where to find the answer. Generally.
Yeah.
And Nahid as well, you'll be able to ask questions on there as well. So if you can't find a question and a response, certainly ask a question. It'll come through to one of the trainers and we'll respond to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for your help for last week. That was
Not a
really,
problem.
really helpful. And I found it very, very helpful. And I just didn't realize you did the first time. I just started to talk about you. And thank you so much. Thank you for that
Pleasure.
help and that night. That was
Our
really
pleasure.
helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Nahid. Our pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey, any other questions at all?
No, I don't have any.
Not at this stage.
Yeah,
No.
If I do, I'm in class tomorrow, so I've got the wonderful Dean there to help
You've
me
got
out.
the lovely Dean. Philip, did you have a question?
I have had a problem. My whole Teams was frozen. I couldn't do anything with it. I had to restart my computer, and so I've probably missed out a bit. But yeah, it's just really, really frustrating. I don't know what, and I can't see if you've got a desktop display up now, that document, I can't access it for some reason. I had it before, but it's no longer there.
Oh.
So yes. Anyway, I'll enjoy the video when it comes out.
Yes, for sure. Denise, you had a question? Oh, you're muted. I cannot hear you. Oh, it's not working. Computer not working.
Yeah, so I couldn't unmute myself before until I restarted.
Feel free to use the chat, Denise. Oh, that's terrible. It was working fine before. Hanny, you have a question?
Yes, in the assessment mapping, in the forms for task 2.3, we need to put numbers over there next to each item. Just for example, for the mapping itself, when we talk about elements and performance criteria, when we write the criteria, on the right hand side, we need to put numbers against them, 1.2, 1.3, whatever. where do we get this information from so we can actually match or look at the mapping and ensure there are the information there so I can pick it up from?
Okay, if you are on training.gov.au, and if we looked up a unit of competency, okay, if I was going to have a look at this unit of competency, I would go down and have a look. So the elements are here. So that's what we put in the dark gray area. And 1.1, we copy and paste from here.
Yes, correct. And then there is the list learning program sessions here, and add columns if required. And in these columns on the right hand side, we need to fill up numbers.
Yeah.
Each of these. Where do we get the numbers from?
So what you're looking at is the learning program. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to bring one up in just a second. Okay, learning. Okay, cluster 1. Okay. Melissa, you had a question just while I'm finding this.
Only when this is finished and you post this video so it can be watched again, where do I find that?
I think, Neil, do they get an email or a message?
Our marketing manager, Fab, will get a list of all of the registered people for the course, and he's going to send out an email, and we put it onto a Dropbox folder, and you'll be able to access it from there. So sometime tomorrow, Fab you'll get an email from Fab with that link on there.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, that's the one, Joe.
Okay, so when you're looking at this document here, just so I can type on it and it won't mess anyone up. Okay, so enable editing. View one page. Okay, so we're looking at the mapping, right?
Yeah.
Mapping. Here we are. So if this is the criteria, and I have covered the criteria in different sessions, okay? So I'm going to go back into the unit of competency. Goodness, where is it? The unit of competency was here, but now it's gone. Where is it going? Sorry. There it is. Okay, so what I would usually do is download the unit of competency because it's easier to copy and paste when you have downloaded the unit, okay? Otherwise, it just goes messy. So once you download the unit of competency, you can copy and paste much quicker.
Yeah.
So with the element here, what we would do is we paste it in the first column here in the darkened gray area, right? And then we copy and paste all of the criteria into here.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so once we have all of the units, all of the elements, all the performance criteria are noted all the way down, even through the foundation skills, you still need to copy and paste foundation skills into here and performance evidence, all of that, right?
Understood,
so if I was to facilitate or put this information from element performance criteria 1.1 in session 2, I just put an X, because in my session 1, this would be my introduction and overview of what I'm training. In the second session, So remember how you're putting all of the information up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my first session, that might be a 30 minutes, and that's going to be an introduction, overview, housekeeping, all of that stuff, right? That's in my first session. Second session, this is when I might be covering the information regarding planning, and I'm going to be covering this sort of information in here. Yep. And then, oh, sorry. And then I would put some extra points down here into what is the specific objectives. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I might be covering performance criteria 1.1 to 1.3 in that first session. Yeah. And in this, in the third session, I might be going over this information again, right?
Okay. So you're using X's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I've been doing actually.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
I thought we need to have a number next to each one instead of the X, but I
No.
didn't know where to get the number from.
No, we're not putting numbers there.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All good.
Great. That's what I've been doing. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Good job. Melissa, question?
No, I'd already asked mine. It was about where the video will be located
Oh, okay.
afterwards.
All good. All
Thank
good.
you.
No problem. Any other questions at all?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
have some questions.
Yeah, sure.
So first question is for 3.2 for the
Yes.
RPL
Yes.
competency. So
Yeah.
the second unit, which give us lots of evidence, such as resume. So I
Yeah.
was a bit confused how to map that. So if it said trainer assessor, I just mark it, assuming that the candidate has done that thing.
Yeah. So you're needing to have a look at the evidence that has been provided to you.
So I'm talking about the resume. So how can I map resume? It just telling us about his experiences and things like that. But how can I actually map it? If I'm saying it, say that the Bill has worked as a trainer assessor, so I just assume that he has done this. He might have done this, and then map it out.
You need to use your own professional judgment, whether you would say that does give some evidence for it or if it doesn't. So if it does, then you would note that down. But if it doesn't, don't note it down then.
Alrighty.
His
For
resume is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, confusing. Too much writing.
Yeah.
So for
If I
the
could add
question,
some, oh, sorry,
Yep.
if I could just add something to that one. Anyone can say anything they like about themselves in a resume. So while we might use it to help us create a picture of our learner, I don't put much faith in it as a piece of evidence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
if Bill says he's a trainer and we want evidence that he's delivered training, we want attendance records, feedback forms, the session plans that he's created, and the resources that sit behind the delivery.
And a
And
third
so,
party.
yeah, but well, that ties some of it in, but you just get your friend to write a third party report that says you're a trainer. That's, the reality is if it's delivering sessions, we want evidence of delivering sessions. And as a trainer, if you're delivering sessions, you're going to have attendance records and feedback forms from your learners.
Alrighty, yeah, thank you.
But then I'm a hard assessor. Just ask my colleagues.
I can say that, yeah, that's true. Even Joy is the hard assessor.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Denise, you have a
So
question.
I can say resume is not too good to map it out. Okay.
Yeah.
And what else? Question I have for 3.3, and
Yep.
it's not post validation, it's not RPL, it's what it is. Okay. TNA assessment, assessing competence. So when I was doing the BSB DAT something dot numbers,
Yep.
I was just double checking the answers, like if my candidate, my learner will be doing the research on the website, given how they can get the answers and things like that. But the website is showing most of the answer for 2023. And the question asks the data for December 2022. And I just did a bit of research going inside all of the given headings, and it was hard to find. What should I do in this case?
Good call. It's very good that you found that one that's sitting in there. So the question that we asked the learner is find the most recent NCVER vet statistics. And when you looked at the markers guide had a slightly outdated one, didn't it?
Yeah.
But did your learner answer the question accurately? They went to the website and they found the most recent statistics?
But the question is asking December 2022. So
But
you're working.
the question's quite interesting because I think it says locate the most recent vet statistics, and then it's got in brackets December 22, but they're not the most recent ones, are they?
Yeah.
So if they
say
went to the
2020,
website and they've got the most recent ones that NCVR had published, I would be upset if I found those most recent stats and then it was marked as wrong. So that's a really good finding for your validation, your post-use validation, that there's something wrong with the assessment tool.
okay.
So the candidate is right. So therefore, your comments to the candidate would be, that you would note something there that they are referring to the most current up-to-date information found. Because if we go through and do a moderation, here's our assessor guide, here's your learner's responses, and you've marked it yes. Why is that? So that's why we need to make sure that you as an assessor are going to give that clear feedback that the learner is correct. The learner doesn't need to know that your assessor guide is out of date, right? But they do need to get feedback that, yes, well done, you've noted the most current information. So then it's going to be picked up by everyone, and they can see why you did not mark as per your assessor guide.
And trust us, these things happen.
They do.
Absolutely
Human error.
happen in the real world. Yeah.
So if they need to be answering everything from 2023.
I would, if they did either, if they actually went and dug in and found the December 22 stats and put those in, I'd mark that as right. But if they went and found the most recent ones, I think both answers could be marked as correct under the circumstances.
Absolutely.
It's a badly worded assessment and it needs to be fixed. And that's good for your post-validation.
Okay, thank you so much.
Too easy.
Down.
Great, fantastic question and really good pickup.
Okay, thank you so much. And then the question for the post-validation for the RPL, I'm just bringing it up so I can have it in front of me. Yeah, so I did pick the BSB CMM411, and I couldn't find any feedback from the learner, like from the RPL, and there was no feedback. So if I say there were no feedback given, will it be correct? Does this get the feedback from the candidate? Yeah, I didn't say no. And there was no any, what it say, candidate, did the candidate briefing include the appeal process? So I look for throughout the document, I couldn't find there is any appeal process. How does the RPL work?
That's right.
Do they have chance to appeal or what?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an assessment process, yes.
It's an obligation under the standards for RTOs that we have an appeals process. So we don't exclude RPL from appeals process. But yeah, if Bill wasn't briefed and wasn't given that appeals process, that's valid findings.
Okay. And if I say not applicable for where all supplied or required assessment resources available for use because we are doing RPL, and same for where overall reasonable adjustment applied and documented, so there was no any adjustment. So if I say NA, that will be fine?
That's right. Yep.
And same like where were all associated assessment tasks fully completed. There was no assessment task completed, so I can just write NA and it was RPL in front.
In Bill's case, he's just given us a pile of evidence, and we've actually completed the assessment task. So, it's a moot point. It could be either way.
Either way, okay. I'm just saying NA.
No, but it's a reasonable finding.
Okay. And what else I have question for the part? Last part I just emailed yesterday, and Joe replied me. Thank you so much for your reply.
Okay.
The problem is that at the moment I'm not working anywhere. So I'm just doing casual work with the departments, and it's in the preschool, and they don't have any trainees there. So I'm a bit confused. How can I complete the first part of the 3.6? Still a bit confused in that.
Well, if you're not currently assessing anything and you don't know what you'll be assessing anyway, then yeah, I would just state not conducting NRT as yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Denise,
fine.
did you have a question?
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
I did a training session on the weekend, and
Awesome.
some of it was practical and some of it was in the classroom, but it's been videoed, but it's not videoed all in one half-hour session. Does that matter if I send it in parts?
We get that a lot, and that's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, as long as we can, you've noted, this is part 2 of, whatever, then we understand which order we need to observe the videos in, that's all.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
It's not good when it's not named. It's just like opening up, a picture and there's no title on it. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to open.
No, I would put it in sequence and title each one.
Awesome.
So
Thank you so much.
Okay,
awesome.
thank you. Ta.
Good work. Oh, good. Any other questions at all?
I've just got a question. I think I mentioned last time I'm doing the gap upgrade, but not until September because I'm going to be away. Should I have been doing anything in the meantime with the course? I mean, everyone seems to have been doing little bits and pieces, but I mean, I haven't even started the course yet. Should I have?
It's up to you, Philip. It's a good idea just to have a bit of you're going to be attending class. Is that what you're saying? Sorry, Philip.
Yes, in September.
Okay.
Online classes, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea just to refresh your mind about the vet sector and maybe start looking at the knowledge questions in that workbook.
Right.
Just to get more familiar with the terminology and the processes that follow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I gather most of the people here are doing the full certificate 4, are they, rather than the upgrade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your workbook's clustered slightly differently, Philip. Instead of having 3 separate clusters, we take into account those units that everyone has common credit transfers, and everything in yours is built into one workbook rather than the 3 clusters. Right. But as Joe said, if you make a bit of a start on some of those knowledge questions, it'll leave you in a really good place. But the majority of it, the trainer will lead you through what needs to be done and give you some advice and guidance, and you'll do some of the practical activities that you need to do together. Are you working in a vet environment at the moment?
No, I'm not.
Right.
I mean, I worked for about a year in a training environment just after I'd done the course 10 years ago.
Yep.
And I haven't worked in a training environment since.
Right. And, quite a few of the legal requirements and the standards have changed a little bit. There's been a lot of changes to the way they put units of competency together since then. So there'll be a fair bit of picking up material. But, if you're looking at doing, you'll probably do a design and some of the assessment with your trainer when you come in and do it.
Okay. So will I actually be doing some face-to-face as well as the online stuff?
There is a component that you will have to do that is required to upgrade, that requires you to deliver to a group of people. Right. You won't have the time within that 1-week course to get that done. But if you need an audience, you can always book in, and there's no extra charge on this. You just let us know that you need an audience to deliver to, and we bring you back in on a Thursday and Friday during one of our blended cluster 2s, and we give you an audience to deliver to.
Okay.
If that works for you.
Yep. Look, I'm sure it will.
Cool. Look forward to working with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Any other questions? Gary, question?
No, I'm right. Thanks.
No, you're good?
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all. That's an early evening finish. I can hear the football is on already out in my lounge room.
Good
Because
for the
Queensland is
football.
going to win. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. Actually, I do agree, but
You do agree? That's right. It's got to be a Queensland thing, right?
I'm not in Queensland. I want to go for New South Wales, but I'm practical.
She just knows. Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Neil's not looking. He's going, yep, that's a tomorrow discussion.
No, not at all. I'm watching the TV right now.
Oh, are
Oh,
you?
what's the score?
0. Thank you so much for putting on tonight, Joe. You're a
Thank
champion.
you. Thank
Thanks,
you
Joe.
for helping out.
Thanks,
Oh,
Joe.
good. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joe.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks
very
Joe.
much.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Enjoy
Bye.
Thanks,
Queensland's
team.
win. Bye.
Have a good
You
night.
never know. You
You
never
never know. Never know.
See ya.
See you
Bye.
later.